Hi, my name is Mark. I'm the service technician here at Dake, and I'm going to show you how to change the seals and replace the springs on the B-10 press. All right, the first step to changing the seals on your B-10 or F-10 press is going to be removing the gauge and removing the coupling that you attach the pump to. Using a 9/16 wrench to remove the gauge. And to remove the coupling, it's going to take an 11/16 wrench. Your cylinder is going to have some oil in it, so it's a good thing to do at this point to dump the oil out so it doesn't make such a mess when you remove everything else. The next step is to remove the bolt that holds the spring internally inside the cylinder. And that's done with a 3mm T-wrench. Putting it in the hole. Once the bolt comes all the way loose, the spring is actually going to snap down into the cylinder because there has to be some tension on it to make it return every time that you release the pressure. And we'll worry about getting the bolt out once we pull the piston out. See it snap right there. The next step is to remove the piston retaining ring. And the way I do it, very carefully to start, you'll see there's 2 notched grooves in each side of the retaining ring. I use a standard screwdriver, put it in the notch just like this, very carefully. You do not want to scratch your cylinder while you're doing this. A ball peen hammer, and I gently tap, and the ring frees up and comes loose. Once the retainer's out, you're able to pull the entire piston out. There's your bolt for retaining your spring. The next step, once you have your piston out, is to actually replace the seals. And you can see they're held on the end here with a retaining ring. So with your retaining ring remover, move it from the end. You just kind of slide your... These are the 2 seals that you're going to have to worry about. Get your new ones. Slide it all the way down so the clip can go back on. And the seals have been changed. All right, if you need to change your return spring, if it's broke, if it's stretched out, not working properly, you will need a long T-handle 3mm wrench. You're going to slide it down through the center of the spring, and you'll feel when it catches the bolt head. Then it's just a matter of unscrewing it. And replacing it the same way. And once you have your new seals secured onto the end of the piston, it's time to reinsert it in the cylinder. I like to put a little grease on my seals before I do that. Just helps the process go better, and I know none of this lip is going to catch on anything and do any damage to it. This is the tricky part of the entire process. You have to figure out a way to get this reinserted into the cylinder, and at the same time, once it's all the way in the cylinder, we have to have a way to pull that spring up and also put the bolt back in at the same time so there's tension on the piston so it can return. Like I said, you're going to have to get a little bit creative. What I use is some electrical wire. There's several different things you could possibly use here. You're just going to have to be a little bit creative in your process. What I do is I thread the wire through the spring, pull it up, then I'm going to take some tape. I'm going to tape the ends together. Straighten out the wire the best I can. I gotta fish it through and make it come out the port for the gauge. Another key to doing this is going to want to have the spring lined up with this hole, so it just makes it that much easier when I pull up that I can slide the bolt in to retain the spring. Can also screw in my retainer at this time. Once I have the wire through, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 3mm T-wrench and I'm going to take my spring retaining bolt, put it on the end of the wrench. I'm going to take a little tape just so I can have one hand free. So the next part of the process of attaching the spring back in the cylinder, take these wires, I take about that much of it, and I clamp them in a vise. Clamp them nice and tight. I grab a hold of the cylinder, I pull back as hard as I can, and eventually the top of the spring is going to line up with the threads that I need to put the bolt into. I simply hold it back, grab this that I already have set up, put it in with a wrench, tighten it down as far and tight as I can, and then I can let the pressure off it. The spring is back on, and your ram will return properly the way it's supposed to. So once I have the bolt firmly in place holding the spring, the only last step I need to do as far as this goes is to grab one end of the wire and pull the wire out. And then the final step is just to put the gauge back on and to put the coupling back on. One important thing you need to do before you do that is take yourself some thread seal tape, put it on the threads of both the gauge and the coupling. Once you have completed all the steps that I just showed you, you can go back to using your B-10 press. I want to thank you for watching. If you need any more information or you'd like to take a look at more of our products, please go to dakecorp.com.